What if the secret to everything isn't trying harder, but finally letting go? Hey, good evening. Or maybe it's already late at night where you are. Welcome to the Stillpoint. If you're new here, thank you for finding us. And if you subscribed, you're part of a quiet community now. People who think, who question, who seek. Sometimes I wonder about the lives on the other side of this screen. The cities, the small towns, the different corners of the world where you might be listening. The stories that brought you here. If you ever feel moved, the comments section is there. A quiet place to leave a thought, a moment, a trace of where you are. This is your refuge. For the next hour, the noise stops. The scrolling ends. You don't have to do anything. Just be here. You're safe. Let's begin. You're exhausted, aren't you? Exhausted from trying so hard, from pushing, from forcing, from making things happen through sheer will and determination. You've been taught that effort equals worth, that if you just try harder, push more, control better, everything will finally work out the way it's supposed to. But it hasn't worked out that way, has it? Despite all your effort, despite all your striving, despite all the times you've pushed yourself past your limits, things still feel stuck. Resistant. Like you're trying to move a mountain with your bare hands and the mountain refuses to budge. I know how tired you are. Not just physically tired, though you are that too. But tired in a deeper way, tired in your bones, in your spirit, in the very core of who you are. Tired of fighting. Tired of forcing. Tired of this constant battle with life, with yourself, with everything that won't bend to your will. You wake up each morning already bracing for the struggle, already tensing your muscles for the push you know is coming, already planning how you'll make things happen today, how you'll overcome the obstacles, how you'll force your way through resistance to get what you need, to achieve what you must, to control what keeps slipping through your fingers. And it's so heavy. This constant effort. This endless pushing. Like you're walking uphill carrying stones, and every step requires monumental force, and you can never, ever stop, because if you stop pushing, everything will fall apart. Everything will slide backward. Everything you've worked so hard to build will crumble. But here's what you haven't been told. Here's what our culture of hustle and grind and relentless effort doesn't want you to know. This way of living, this constant forcing, this perpetual striving, this exhausting push against the natural flow of things, it's not actually working. Not really. Not in the way that matters. Yes, you might be achieving things. You might be checking boxes, meeting deadlines, looking productive on the outside. But inside? Inside you're dying. Inside you're so tense you've forgotten what it feels like to be soft. Inside you're so busy controlling that you've forgotten how to simply be. There's a tightness in your chest that never quite goes away. A clenching in your jaw you don't even notice anymore. Your shoulders are up around your ears. Your breath is shallow. Your whole body is braced as if for impact. Because you're always trying to make something happen. Always attempting to force the river of your life to flow in the direction you've decided it should go. And the river resists. Of course it does. Because rivers don't flow uphill. Water doesn't move in straight lines. Life doesn't unfold according to your carefully constructed plans, no matter how hard you push, no matter how much you try to control it. So you push harder, you grip tighter, you plan more meticulously. You wake up earlier, work longer, sacrifice more, thinking that if you just try hard enough, if you just control things perfectly enough, you'll finally feel what? Safe? Successful? Worthy? At peace? But peace doesn't come from control. Peace doesn't come from forcing. Peace doesn't come from pushing against the natural way of things until they break or until you do. Tonight, I want to tell you about a different way. Not an easier way, necessarily. Not a lazy way or a passive way, but a way that might let you finally rest. A way that might let you exhale. A way that might show you that you don't have to push so hard. That you don't have to force. That you don't have to control everything to be okay. It comes from an ancient philosopher named Lao Tzu. You might know him as the author of the Tao Te Ching, one of the most translated books in human history. But who was he, really? What did he understand that we've forgotten? The legends say Lao Tzu was a keeper of the imperial archives in ancient China, a scholar who spent his life watching the endless cycles of rise and fall, effort and exhaustion, control and collapse. He watched emperors try to force their empires to last forever. He watched generals try to control the outcomes of battles through sheer strategic will. He watched people just like you exhaust themselves trying to make life conform to their plans. And he saw how it all failed. Not because people didn't try hard enough, but because they were trying in the wrong way. Because they were pushing against the Tao, against the natural way of things, against the fundamental flow of reality itself. One day, the story goes, Lao Tzu grew tired of watching this endless, futile struggle. So he climbed on the back of a water buffalo and headed west toward the mountains, ready to disappear from the world of striving and forcing. But at the border, a gatekeeper stopped him and said, "You can't leave without sharing your wisdom. Write it down." So Lao Tzu sat down and wrote the Tao Te Ching, 81 short chapters about the way of water, about the power of yielding, about the strength that comes not from forcing, but from flowing, about Wu Wei, a concept that would change everything if we truly understood it. Wu Wei. It's often translated as non-action or non-doing, but that's misleading. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It doesn't mean being passive or lazy or checking out. It means something far more subtle, far more powerful. Wu Wei means acting without forcing, moving without pushing, achieving without striving. It means aligning yourself with the natural flow of things instead of constantly battling against it. It means becoming like water, soft, yielding, apparently weak, yet ultimately unstoppable. Think about water for a moment. Water doesn't try. Water doesn't effort. Water doesn't wake up in the morning and plan how it will push through obstacles today. Water simply flows. And when it encounters a stone in its path, water doesn't bash against it, doesn't try to move it through force. Water flows around it, over it, through the smallest crack in it. Patient, soft, yielding. And over time, not through force, but through this patient, gentle flowing, the water shapes the stone. Wears it smooth, even carves canyons through solid rock. Not because water is hard, but because water knows how to yield. This is what Lao Tzu understood. This is what he tried to teach. that the softest thing in the world overcomes the hardest. That yielding is not weakness but the deepest wisdom. That when you stop forcing and start flowing, when you stop pushing and start allowing, something miraculous happens. Life stops being a battle. Obstacles become opportunities. Resistance transforms into redirection. And the things you were trying so hard to make happen, they often happen more easily, more naturally, more beautifully than you ever could have forced them to be. But I know what you're thinking. I can feel your resistance to this idea. Because everything in you has been trained to push, to strive, to control. Everything in you is terrified of what might happen if you let go, if you stop forcing, if you yield. You're thinking, if I stop pushing, everything will fall apart. If I don't control, chaos will consume me. If I yield, I'll lose ground, lose progress, lose myself. Yielding feels like giving up, like weakness, like failure. And Lao Tzu would say, I know, I understand. This fear is why you're exhausted. This fear is why you can't rest. This fear is why you've forgotten what it feels like to move through life with ease instead of endless effort. But what if that fear is wrong? What if the very thing you're afraid of, letting go of control, yielding to the natural flow, is actually what will save you? What if the strength you're looking for doesn't come from pushing harder but from learning to flow? What if you could move through your life the way water moves through a stream, not forcing, not struggling, not exhausting yourself against every obstacle, but finding the path of least resistance, the natural way, the way that requires effort but not strain, action but not force? This is the Watercourse Way. This is the Tao. This is what Lao Tzu spent his life trying to show us. That there is a natural order to things, a way that water knows instinctively but we have forgotten. That you can accomplish more by doing less. That you can achieve strength through softness. That you can find peace not by controlling everything, but by allowing the river of your life to flow where it naturally wants to go. But you're not ready to believe that yet. I understand. You can't just suddenly let go of a lifetime of striving, of forcing, of pushing. You can't just decide to yield when every cell in your body is tense for battle. So tonight, we're not going to ask you to transform. We're not going to demand that you suddenly become water. We're just going to ask you to notice, to become aware, to feel what all this forcing is costing you. Notice the tension in your body right now. Really feel it. Your shoulders, are they relaxed or raised? Your jaw, is it soft or clenched? Your breath, is it deep and easy or shallow and held? This is what forcing feels like. This is what constant effort does to you. This is the price you pay for trying to control everything, for pushing against the natural flow of things. And now, just for a moment, imagine what it would feel like to soften. Not to give up. Not to stop caring or trying. But to soften. To let your shoulders drop just a little. To unclench your jaw. To take one deep breath that reaches all the way down to your belly. That's all. Just that. That's the beginning of Wu Wei. That's the first whisper of the Watercourse Way. That tiny softening. That small yielding. That moment of letting go of just a fraction of the control you're gripping so tightly. Lao Tzu said, the Tao does nothing, yet nothing is left undone. Think about that. Really think about it. The Tao, the natural way of things, the fundamental flow of reality does nothing. It doesn't try. It doesn't force. It doesn't push or strive or effort. And yet, everything happens. Seasons change. Rivers flow. Seeds become trees. All without forcing. All through this mysterious principle of Wu Wei. What if you could live like that? What if you could move through your days with that kind of natural ease? Not doing nothing, but doing everything without strain, without exhaustion, without this constant battle against the way things are. What if you could learn from water? Water that is so soft a child can play in it, yet so powerful it carves mountains. Water that yields to every container, takes every shape, flows around every obstacle, yet always finds its way to the sea. Water doesn't have a goal. Water doesn't have a plan. Water doesn't try to control where it ends up. Water simply flows downward, following the path of least resistance, and somehow, without trying, without forcing, it always arrives exactly where it needs to be. This is what Lao Tzu is inviting you to consider. Not to become lazy, not to give up on your life, but to ask yourself, am I flowing or am I forcing? Am I yielding to the natural way or am I exhausting myself pushing against it? Am I like water or am I like stone? And if you're like stone, hard, rigid, resistant, what would it take to soften? What would it take to yield? What would it take to trust that maybe, just maybe, the universe knows what it's doing? That maybe the river of your life wants to flow somewhere beautiful, if only you'd stop trying to force it uphill? I know this is difficult to accept. I know every part of you is screaming that if you let go of control, everything will fall apart. But consider this, how is all that control working out for you? Has all that forcing brought you peace? Has all that pushing brought you ease? Has all that striving brought you joy? Or has it just brought you here, exhausted, tense, trying to fall asleep but unable to let go, unable to soften, unable to yield even to rest because you're so used to fighting, so conditioned to force, so terrified of what might happen if you stop pushing? Tonight, what if you practice Wu Wei with sleep itself? What if instead of trying to make yourself sleep, forcing yourself to relax, controlling your thoughts into stillness, what if you just yielded? What if you let go? What if you became like water, flowing naturally into rest without any effort at all? You don't have to do anything. You don't have to try. You don't have to force. You just have to allow. Allow your body to soften. Allow your breath to deepen. Allow your mind to slow. Allow sleep to come in its own time, in its own way, without any pushing from you. This is the beginning. This is the first teaching of the Watercourse Way. That you don't have to force everything. That yielding is not weakness. That softness is not failure. That sometimes, perhaps more often than you think, the most powerful thing you can do is stop trying so hard. Lao Tzu wrote, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." The seed doesn't force itself to become a tree. The river doesn't strain to reach the ocean. The moon doesn't effort to move the tides. Everything happens naturally, effortlessly, in perfect timing through the principle of Wu Wei. And you are nature too. You are part of this same flow, this same natural order. You don't have to force yourself to be who you are. You don't have to push yourself to become who you're meant to be. You just have to yield to what wants to emerge. Flow with what wants to happen. Trust the Tao, the way, to carry you where you need to go. But that's tomorrow's practice. Tonight, right now, all you need to do is soften. Just a little. Just enough. Let your body sink a little deeper into whatever is holding it. Let your shoulders drop a fraction lower. Let your jaw unclench, your hands unfold, your whole being yield to this moment exactly as it is. You don't have to transform. You don't have to become enlightened. You don't have to suddenly understand the mysteries of the Tao. You just have to stop fighting for a moment. Stop forcing. Stop pushing. Just for tonight. Just for now. Because Lao Tzu knew something that you're about to discover. That when you stop trying so hard, when you yield instead of force, when you flow instead of fight, something shifts. Something opens. Something that has been locked tight inside you for so long begins, finally, to soften. And in that softening, there is peace. Not the peace that comes from controlling everything, but the deeper peace that comes from trusting the way of water. The peace that comes from Wu Wei. The peace that comes from finally stopping the exhausting battle with life and learning to flow with it instead. So rest now. Not because you've earned it through enough effort. Not because you've tried hard enough. But simply because water flows downward, because rivers find the sea, because the Tao does nothing and yet nothing is left undone. Rest because it's natural. Rest because it's the way. Rest because you are water, not stone, and water knows how to yield, how to soften, how to flow into the deepest rest without any forcing at all. The Watercourse Way is calling you, not to do more, but to do less. Not to try harder, but to yield more deeply. Not to force, but to flow. And tonight, that flowing begins with this, one breath, one softening, one small yielding to the natural way of things. Let go. Just a little. Just enough. The river knows the way home. Come down from the mountain now. Leave the stone where it is. It will still be there tomorrow if you need it, if you choose to return to pushing. But tonight, come down to the valley. Come down to where the river flows. Can you hear it? That soft, continuous sound. Not loud, not demanding. Just present. Always present. The river has been flowing here all along while you were up on the mountain struggling with your stone. It hasn't been trying. It hasn't been forcing. It's simply been flowing. Walk closer now. Feel how the air changes as you approach the water. It's cooler here, isn't it? Softer. There's moisture in the air that wasn't there on the dry mountain. Your skin can feel it, this gentle humidity, this softness that the river breathes into the world around it. Look at the water. Really look at it. See how it moves, not in a straight line, not according to any plan you could discern. It curves, it meanders, it finds its way around every obstacle with such natural grace that it seems like the obstacles were placed there specifically for the water to dance around. There, do you see that stone in the river? Not unlike the one you were pushing up the mountain. Large, solid, immovable. A mountain's child, settled here in the riverbed. And what does the water do when it encounters this stone? It doesn't stop. It doesn't push against it. It doesn't try to move it through force. The water simply flows around it. Some water goes to the left, some to the right. Some water flows over the top in a playful cascade. The water doesn't see the stone as an enemy, doesn't see it as something to overcome. The stone is just there, and the water flows, and somehow both exist perfectly together. This is the first teaching, the first wisdom of water. When you encounter an obstacle, you don't have to fight it. You don't have to overcome it through force. You can flow around it. You can find another way. You can let the obstacle be what it is while you continue on your way, unchanged, undeterred, simply flowing. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, if I just flow around my obstacles, if I don't fight them, don't overcome them, doesn't that mean I'm weak? Doesn't that mean I'm giving up? Doesn't that mean the obstacle wins? Look at the stone again. Look closer. Do you see how smooth it is? How its rough edges have been worn away. The water didn't fight this stone, didn't try to break it in a single violent effort. But over time, through years, through centuries of this gentle, patient flowing, the water has completely reshaped the stone. The softest thing in the world has overcome the hardest. Not through force, not through violence, not through struggle, but through patience, through persistence, through the simple, unwavering commitment to keep flowing, keep yielding, keep following the natural way. This is Wu Wei. This is the Watercourse Way. This is what Lao Tzu was trying to show you. That true strength doesn't look like strength. Real power doesn't feel like power. The most effective action doesn't look like action at all. It looks like flowing, like yielding, like water finding its way home to the sea. Now, step into the river. I know it seems strange. I know you're used to standing on solid ground, to maintaining control, to staying separate from the flow. But just for now, just for this moment, step in. The water is cool against your skin. Not cold, just cool, refreshing, alive. Feel how it immediately begins to flow around your legs, around your body. It doesn't fight you. It doesn't resist your presence. It simply adjusts, adapts, flows around this new obstacle, you, with the same graceful ease it flows around stones. This is the second teaching. Water is infinitely adaptable. You can pour water into any container and it takes that shape. You can scatter it and it finds new paths. You can try to grasp it and it slips through your fingers, not because it's trying to escape, but because holding on is not its nature. Flowing is. What if you could be like this? What if you could adapt to whatever container life pours you into? Not by losing yourself, not by becoming nothing, but by being so fundamentally yourself, so fluid, so flexible, so yielding that you can fit anywhere and still remain whole. Feel the current now. It's gentle but persistent. It's not trying to sweep you away. It's not forcing you anywhere. But there's a definite direction to it, isn't there? A pull. The river knows where it's going. It's going downward, always downward, following gravity, following the path of least resistance, making its way inevitably, naturally, effortlessly toward the sea. The river doesn't have a 5-year plan, doesn't have goals and metrics and milestones. The river just flows downward, and somehow, without trying, without controlling, without forcing, it always arrives exactly where it needs to be. What if you trusted that? What if you trusted that there's a natural direction to your life, just like there's a natural downward flow to water? What if you didn't have to control every detail, plan every step, force every outcome? What if you could simply sense the current, the natural pull of your life, and flow with it? Let yourself move with the water now. Not swimming, not trying to go anywhere specific. Just allowing the current to carry you. Allowing yourself to be held by something larger than your own effort. Allowing the river to show you what it knows. This feels strange, doesn't it? Vulnerable. Out of control. Every part of you wants to tense up, to swim, to do something. Because you've been taught that if you're not doing, not trying, not controlling, you're failing. You're lazy. You're irresponsible. But look at the river. Is the river lazy? Is the river irresponsible? The river carves canyons, nourishes entire ecosystems, shapes the landscape, turns stones to sand, and the river does all of this without trying, without forcing, just by flowing. This is the paradox of Wu Wei. You accomplish more by doing less. You achieve strength through softness. You create change not by forcing it, but by allowing it to emerge naturally, the way a river creates a canyon, not through a single violent act, but through patient, persistent, gentle flowing. The current carries you around a bend now, and there another obstacle. Not a stone this time, but a fallen tree, its branches reaching into the water like fingers. In your old way of being, you would see this as something to overcome. Something in your way. Something to fight through or climb over or push aside. But watch how the water responds. Some water flows through the gaps between the branches. Some water flows under the log. Some water flows around it entirely, taking a longer path but still moving, still progressing, still making its way downstream. The water doesn't see one right way to get past this obstacle. The water sees 1,000 ways, and the water takes all of them. This is the third teaching. There is never only one path. Your mind wants to believe that there's a right way and a wrong way, a successful route and a failed one. But water knows differently. Water knows that all paths that flow downstream eventually reach the sea. Some are faster, some slower. Some more direct, some more meandering. But they all arrive. What if you could stop agonizing over choosing the perfect path? What if you could trust that if you simply keep flowing, keep following the natural pull of your life, keep moving in the direction that requires yielding rather than forcing, you'll arrive where you need to be? You're flowing faster now. Can you feel it? The river is picking up speed as the valley narrows, as the gradient steepens. But you don't have to do anything. You don't have to try to go faster. The river itself carries you. All you have to do is yield to its current, trust its momentum, allow yourself to be moved by forces larger and wiser than your own small will. This is terrifying, isn't it? Because you're not in control. You can't see where the river is taking you. You can't plan the route or predict the outcome. You can only flow and trust and yield. And yet, notice this, you're still here. You're still whole. The river hasn't destroyed you. Yielding hasn't made you disappear. Softness hasn't made you weak. In fact, you're moving faster and more efficiently than you ever moved when you were pushing that stone uphill. You're accomplishing more by doing less. You're getting somewhere by allowing yourself to be carried. This is what Lao Tzu meant when he wrote, "The Tao does nothing, yet nothing is left undone." The river does nothing. It doesn't try, doesn't force, doesn't control. It simply flows according to its nature. And yet everything the river needs to accomplish gets accomplished. Stones are smoothed. Valleys are carved. Seeds are carried downstream to new soil. Life is nourished. The sea is reached. All without trying. All through Wu Wei. All through the simple wisdom of following the Watercourse Way. The river widens now, slows, becomes deeper, calmer. You're floating in a broad, peaceful section where the water moves so slowly you can barely feel it. But it is moving, always moving. Even in this stillness, there's flow. Even in this calm, there's current. Even in this apparent doing nothing, there's progress toward the sea. This is perhaps the deepest teaching, that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Sometimes Wu Wei means complete stillness. Not frozen stillness, not resistant stillness, but the stillness of deep water. Still on the surface, but with currents moving in the depths. Still to the eye, but flowing toward the sea. You've been so afraid of stillness, haven't you? So afraid that if you stop moving, stop doing, stop controlling, everything will fall apart. But look at this deep, still section of river. Is it stagnant? Is it dead? No. It's alive. It's full of fish and plants and invisible currents. It's doing exactly what it needs to do, which in this moment is to be still, to be deep, to gather strength for the next rapid, the next bend, the next stage of the journey. What if you could trust stillness like this? What if you could rest without guilt, be still without anxiety, stop moving without fear that everything is falling apart? What if stillness is sometimes exactly what's needed, not laziness, not giving up, but the wise, natural pause that water takes in its journey to the sea? Let yourself sink deeper into this stillness now, not as an endpoint, but as part of the flow. The river will move again. The current will quicken. But right now, in this moment, the river is teaching you that flow includes stillness, that Wu Wei includes rest, that the Watercourse Way doesn't mean constant motion, it means natural rhythm. Moving when it's time to move. Still when it's time to be still. And can you feel it? You're beginning to become water. Not literally, of course. But something in you is softening. Something that has been hard, intense, and resistant for so long is beginning to yield. Beginning to flow. Beginning to trust that maybe, just maybe, you don't have to force everything. That maybe there's another way. This is just the beginning. You haven't transformed completely. You're still scared. Still want to control. Still feel that pull to climb back up the mountain and push your stone. But you've felt it now, this other possibility. This Watercourse Way. This gentle, powerful, unstoppable wisdom of flowing instead of forcing. The river curves again, and in the distance, you can hear something. A low, continuous roar. Not threatening, but powerful. The river is approaching rapids, a place where it will move fast and wild and free, where it will crash over rocks and create spray and seem completely out of control. But the river isn't afraid. The river doesn't tense up or try to stop or wish it could go a different way. The river simply flows toward the rapids with the same yielding grace it flows everywhere else. Because the river trusts its nature. The river knows that even in the chaos of the rapids, it will find its way. Even in the wildness, there's still the fundamental pull toward the sea. Even in what looks like chaos is actually the Tao, the way, expressing itself perfectly. You don't have to go through the rapids tonight. This is just an introduction, just a first taste of what it means to flow instead of force, to yield instead of fight, to trust instead of control. But know that the rapids are there. Know that the Watercourse Way doesn't mean everything is always calm. It means you learn to flow with whatever comes, calm or rapid, still or wild, peaceful or challenging. Water doesn't resist the rapids. Water becomes the rapids. Water doesn't fight the stillness. Water becomes the stillness. Water is always completely, fully itself, yielding to whatever shape the landscape requires, adapting to whatever container holds it, flowing around whatever obstacles appear, and yet always remaining water. This is what you're learning. Not to become something you're not, but to become more fully what you are. Not to give up your strength, but to discover that real strength is soft. Not to abandon your goals, but to trust that the river of your life knows how to reach the sea. Let the current carry you back to the riverbank now. Feel the water release you as gently as it held you. You're stepping out, returning to land, to air, to the solid ground you know. But you're different now. You've been in the river. You've felt what it means to flow. You've experienced, even just for a moment, the power of yielding. And that stone you were pushing up the mountain? It's still there. But maybe, just maybe, you don't have to push it anymore. Maybe there's a way to flow around it. Maybe there's a path you haven't seen because you've been so focused on the single, hard way straight up the mountain. Maybe if you became like water, you discover 1,000 paths you never knew existed. This is the gift of the Watercourse Way. Not that life becomes easier. Not that obstacles disappear. But that you discover you're softer than you thought, more adaptable than you believed, more capable of flowing than you ever imagined. The river continues flowing beside you as you rest on its bank. It will flow all night. It will flow tomorrow and the next day and 1,000 years from now. It will never stop, never tire, never give up. Not because it's trying hard, but because flowing is its nature. Yielding is its strength. Wu Wei is its way. And you are beginning to remember you are water too. You're sitting by the river now, water still dripping from your skin, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, this was beautiful. This flowing, this yielding, this Watercourse Way, it was beautiful here, in this quiet place, by this peaceful river. But tomorrow I have to go back. Back to the mountain. Back to the stone. Back to the life that requires pushing and forcing and endless effort. And you're wondering, how can I possibly bring this wisdom back with me? How can I flow when my job demands I push? How can I yield when my responsibilities require I control? How can I be like water when the world insists I be like stone? This is the question, isn't it? This is where the philosophy meets the pavement, where the beautiful metaphor crashes into Monday morning, where the Watercourse Way faces the real demands of your actual life. And I understand why you're worried. Why you think this might be just a lovely dream that can't survive the harsh light of day. But Lao Tzu didn't live by a river in eternal meditation. He worked in the imperial archives. He dealt with bureaucracy, politics, power struggles, all the grinding machinery of human civilization. He knew about deadlines and demands and difficult people. He knew about the mountain and the stone. And still, he chose water. Still, he practiced Wu Wei. Still, he found a way to flow through a world built on forcing. So let's talk about how. Let's talk about what it actually means to bring the Watercourse Way into your life. First, remember this: water doesn't stop being water when you pour it into a cup. It takes the shape of the cup, it adapts, it fits, it yields to the container. But it remains water. Its essential nature doesn't change. It's still fluid, still soft, still capable of flowing the moment you tip the cup. Your life has containers too. Your job is a container. Your relationships are containers. Your responsibilities, your obligations, the roles you play, these are all containers. And the Watercourse Way doesn't ask you to smash the containers. It asks you to be like water inside them. What does that mean practically? It means you can adapt to the shape your life requires while remaining fundamentally fluid. You can meet your responsibilities without becoming rigid. You can fulfill your obligations without losing your softness. You can work hard without forcing. You can achieve goals without striving. Let me show you what this looks like. Tomorrow, when you wake up, you'll probably immediately start planning, making lists, figuring out how to control the day, how to force everything to happen the way it should. This is your old pattern, the mountain pattern, the stone pattern. But what if, instead, you started by asking, what wants to flow today? Not what do I need to make happen, but what wants to emerge? What is the natural current of this day? Where is the Tao, the way, already moving, and how can I align myself with it instead of fighting against it? This doesn't mean doing nothing. Water acts, rivers are constantly acting, constantly moving, constantly accomplishing. But water acts without forcing. Water moves without struggling. Water accomplishes without striving. So you look at your day and you ask, which of these tasks can I flow through? Which ones am I trying to force that might actually be easier if I yielded, if I adapted, if I found the path of least resistance instead of assuming the hardest path is the rightest one? Maybe there's a difficult conversation you've been dreading and you've been planning exactly what to say, trying to control exactly how it will go. That's forcing. That's pushing the stone uphill. What if instead you became like water in that conversation? What if you listened more than you spoke? What if you adapted to what the other person needed instead of rigidly sticking to your script? Water doesn't have a script. Water responds. Water flows around whatever it encounters. And often, not always, but often, water finds solutions that forcing could never discover because water is willing to go places that rigid planning would never allow. Or maybe there's a problem at work that you've been attacking head on, throwing effort and hours and sheer willpower at it, and it's not moving. It's like that stone in the riverbed, solid, immovable, resistant to all your pushing. What if you stopped pushing? What if you float around it? What if you asked, is there another way to approach this? A softer way? A way that works with the natural grain of the situation instead of against it? This is Wu Wei in action. Not giving up. Not being passive. But being smart enough, flexible enough, water-like enough to find the path that flows instead of the path that forces. But I know what scares you about this. You're scared that if you stop forcing, if you stop controlling, everything will fall apart. The projects won't get done. The problems won't get solved. The responsibilities won't get met. You'll fail. And Lao Tzu would say, look at nature. Does nature fail? The seed doesn't force itself to become a tree, it yields to the process, and the tree emerges. The river doesn't force itself to reach the ocean, it follows the path of least resistance, and the ocean is reached. The seasons don't struggle to change, they flow into each other, and the year completes itself. Nature accomplishes everything through wuwei, through non-forcing, through yielding to the Tao, the natural way of things. And you are nature too. You have a Tao, a natural way, a path of least resistance that will carry you where you need to go if you trust it enough to stop fighting it. But trusting is hard, isn't it? Especially when you've been taught your whole life that trust is naive, that yielding is weak, that the only way to succeed is to force and control and push. So let's start smaller. Let's practice with something that doesn't feel quite so high stakes. Let's practice with this moment, right now. You're trying to fall asleep, and I'm willing to bet you've been trying to quiet your mind, trying to relax your body, trying to make sleep happen through effort and will. How's that working? Sleep is one of those things that only comes when you stop trying to make it happen. Sleep requires yielding. Sleep requires wuwei. You cannot force yourself to sleep, you can only allow sleep to take you. So right now, practice being water with sleep. Stop trying. Stop controlling. Stop forcing. Just yield. Let your body sink a little deeper into whatever is holding it, not because you're trying to relax, but because water naturally flows downward, naturally seeks the lowest point, naturally yields to gravity. Let your breath soften, not because you're controlling it, but because water doesn't hold itself rigid, doesn't maintain a particular shape. Water adapts. Water softens. Water flows. And your thoughts, those busy, planning, controlling thoughts that are trying so hard to figure everything out, let them flow past like the current of the river. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to force them away. Just let them flow. Like water flowing around a stone, your awareness can rest here while thoughts flow past. This is the practice. This is how you bring the Watercourse Way into your life. Not by becoming perfect at it. Not by never forcing again. But by noticing when you're pushing and asking, could I flow instead? By catching yourself in rigidity and asking, could I soften? By feeling yourself strain and asking, is there a way that requires less effort and achieves more? Because here's what Lao Tzu discovered, what the Tao Te Ching tries to teach, the universe is already flowing in a certain direction. There is already a current, a way, a Tao that moves through everything. And when you align yourself with it, when you flow with it instead of against it, when you practice wuwei instead of forcing, life becomes easier. Not because the challenges disappear, but because you stop making them harder than they need to be. Think about the river again. Think about all the obstacles it encounters on its journey to the sea. Stones, fallen trees, narrow passages, sudden drops. The river doesn't encounter fewer obstacles than you do. But the river doesn't suffer over them. Doesn't lie awake at night worrying about them. Doesn't exhaust itself fighting them. The river flows. And in flowing, the river finds a way through, around, over every obstacle. Not because the river is strong in the way you think of strength, but because the river is water. Because the river practices wuwei. Because the river trusts the Tao. And tomorrow, when you face your obstacles, the difficult meeting, the overwhelming project, the relationship tension, the financial stress, whatever your particular stones might be, you have a choice. You can be rigid stone trying to smash through rigid obstacles, or you can be water flowing around them. You can wake up and immediately start forcing the day to conform to your plan, or you can wake up and ask, what wants to flow today? What is the path of least resistance? Where is the Tao already moving, and how can I join it? You can approach that difficult person with your armor on, your defenses up, ready for battle. Or you can approach them like water, soft, yielding, adaptable, and see what happens when you stop fighting and start flowing. You can grip your life with white knuckles, trying to control every outcome. Or you can hold it the way you hold water, with open palms, letting it pool there, knowing that grasping makes it slip away but yielding allows it to stay. I'm not saying it will be easy. I'm not saying you'll become water overnight. You've been stone for a long time. You've been pushing for years, maybe decades. The pattern is deep. The habit is strong. And that's okay. Remember what the river taught you. Even water takes time to carve canyons. Even water needs patience. Even water doesn't change the stone in a single day. But water is persistent. Water keeps flowing. And over time, through that gentle, patient, persistent flowing, water shapes the entire landscape. So you don't have to transform completely tomorrow. You don't have to flow perfectly through every situation. You just have to practice. Just have to notice when you're forcing and ask if you could yield. Just have to catch yourself in rigidity and remember the softness of water. Little by little, day by day, moment by moment, you'll find that flowing becomes more natural. That yielding doesn't feel like giving up. That Wu Wei isn't passivity but the deepest, wisest form of action. And here's what will surprise you. You'll probably accomplish more. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're trying less. Not because you're controlling better, but because you're controlling less. Not because you're forcing more effectively, but because you've stopped forcing and started flowing. This is the paradox of the Watercourse Way. By doing less, more gets done. By yielding, you become stronger. By softening, you become unstoppable. But for tonight, you don't need to think about tomorrow. You don't need to plan how you'll practice Wu Wei or strategize how you'll flow. Because that would be forcing again, wouldn't it? That would be trying to control even your yielding. For tonight, just be here. Just rest. Just let yourself be held by this moment the way the river held you, without effort, without strain, without any need to do anything other than float and trust and yield. The river is still flowing beside you. Listen to it. That soft, constant sound. The river isn't worried about tomorrow. The river isn't planning its route. The river isn't trying to force itself toward the sea. The river is just being what it is, water, flowing, following the Tao. And you can be that too. Not tomorrow. Not in some distant future. But right now, in this moment, you can practice being water. Soft, yielding, flowing, trusting the Tao to carry you where you need to go. Let your breath be like water, soft, flowing, requiring no effort. Let your body be like water, yielding to gravity, sinking, settling, soft. Let your mind be like water, thoughts flowing past without grasping, without forcing, without trying to control where they go. And sleep, when it comes, will come the way water flows, naturally, effortlessly, without any forcing from you. You don't have to make it happen. You just have to yield to it. You just have to trust it. You just have to be water. The Watercourse Way isn't something you do. It's something you allow. It's not a technique to master, but a nature to remember. You were water once, before the world taught you to be stone. And you can be water again. Not by trying, not by forcing, but by yielding, by softening, by remembering, by flowing home. The river is still here, still flowing, as it has flowed for thousands of years, as it will flow for thousands more. The river doesn't sleep, but the river rests, always rests. Even in flowing, there is rest. You can rest too now. Rest while flowing. Flow while resting. This is the deepest secret of water, that there is no difference between the two. Let your body become heavy now, heavy like water settling into the lowest place. Water always flows downward, always seeks the deepest point, always yields to gravity without any resistance at all. Your shoulders are sinking, not because you're trying to relax them, but because water doesn't hold itself up. Water doesn't maintain any position. Water simply settles. Settle now. Your arms, your legs, your whole body, let them be as heavy as water, as soft as water, as yielding as water. There is no effort in water, no tension, no holding on. Water only knows how to let go. So let go. Your breath is becoming like a river now. Slow, continuous, never stopping, never straining, just flowing in, flowing out, like water flowing downstream. Natural, effortless, the way things are meant to be. Breathe like water flows, without trying, without controlling, just allowing each breath to come, to go, to flow through you the way water flows through a channel. You are the channel. The breath is the water. And the Tao, the way, moves through you without any effort from you at all. Wu Wei, non-doing, not because you're doing nothing, but because the doing is happening through you, not by you. Like water flowing downhill. Is the water doing anything? Or is gravity doing it? Or is it simply the nature of things, the Tao, expressing itself? You don't have to know. You just have to flow. Flowing now, softening now, becoming water now. Your thoughts are like leaves on the surface of a river. They float past. Some move quickly, some slowly. Some circle in eddies for a while. But all of them eventually flow downstream. You don't have to push them. You don't have to make them go. They flow by themselves. Because that's what water does. Water carries things. Water moves things. Water doesn't hold on to anything. Water just flows, and everything flows with it. Let your thoughts flow past like leaves on water. You are not the leaves. You are the water beneath them. Deep, still in your depths, flowing on your surface, both at once, always. The river taught you this. The river showed you. And now you are becoming what the river showed you. You are becoming water. Soft water. Yielding water. Flowing water. Lao Tzu wrote, "The softest thing in the world overcomes the hardest." You don't have to be hard anymore. Don't have to be strong in the old way. Don't have to push or force or control. You can be soft. Soft like water. And in that softness, you are unstoppable. Feel how soft you're becoming now. Your face, soft. Your jaw, soft. Your hands, soft. Everything softening, yielding, becoming like water. And in this softness, there is such strength, such peace, such power. The power of Wu Wei, the power of the Watercourse Way, the power of the Tao moving through you, as you, because you stopped resisting it. You stopped pushing against the current. You stopped trying to flow uphill. You stopped fighting the river. And now, finally, you're flowing with it. Flowing as it. Flowing home. Home to the sea. Home to the source. Home to the Tao. Every river flows to the sea. Every stream, every creek, every tiny trickle of water, all of them eventually find their way home to the vast ocean. Not by trying, not by planning the route, just by flowing downward, just by following their nature. And you are flowing home too, not to a place, but to a state of being that is your true nature. Soft, flowing, yielding, at peace. The Tao is calling you home, not with words, but with current, with pull, with the gentle, irresistible gravity that calls all water downward, that calls all beings back to their source. You can feel it, can't you? That pull. That current, not forcing you, never forcing, just inviting, just showing you the way, the Watercourse Way, the way home. Follow it now, not by trying, but by yielding, by softening, by becoming so much like water that you flow naturally, effortlessly, beautifully toward rest. Your body knows how to do this. Your body is wise. Your body is water, 60% water, the scientists say. But tonight, you are all water. 100%. Pure. Flowing. Free. Flowing deeper now. Deeper into rest. Deeper into the Tao. Deeper into the mystery of Wu Wei, where nothing is done yet everything is accomplished. Lao Tzu said, "The Tao does nothing, yet nothing is left undone." You are learning this now. Learning it in your body, in your breath, in the softening of every cell. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to accomplish anything. You don't have to become anything. You just have to be. Be water. Be flow. Be the Tao expressing itself through this particular form, this particular life, this particular moment. And right now, the Tao is expressing itself as rest, as sleep, as the deep, sweet yielding of consciousness into the vast ocean of unconsciousness, into the sea, into the source, into home. Let yourself flow there now. 10. Flowing downward, following gravity, following the Tao, soft and yielding and completely without effort. 9. Like water flowing over stones, smooth, continuous, natural as breathing, natural as being. 8. The river of your life knows where it's going, knows the way home. You don't have to navigate, just flow. 7. Softening deeper, yielding more, becoming more like water with each breath, each moment, each gentle release. 6. Wu Wei, non-doing, everything happening by itself, your body resting by itself, your breath flowing by itself, sleep coming by itself. 5. Halfway home now, halfway to the sea, and it's easy, so easy, because water doesn't effort, water doesn't strain, water just flows. 4. The Watercourse Way, the path of least resistance, the way that requires no forcing, no controlling, no trying at all. 3. Almost there, almost home, almost dissolved completely into the vast ocean of the Tao, where there is no you, no me, only flowing, only being, only this. 2. So soft now, so yielding, so completely like water that you can barely tell where you end and the river begins. Maybe there is no difference. Maybe there never was. 1. Flowing into the sea now, flowing home, the river merging with the ocean, the drop becoming the wave, you becoming the Tao becoming you. And rest. Water resting in water. Ocean holding ocean. The Tao cradling the Tao. You are home. Nothing to do. Nowhere to go. Nothing to become. You are already what you've always been. Water. Flow. The Tao itself. Just this, just breath, just softness, just yielding, just the gentle, eternal flowing of what has always been flowing and will always flow. The river of your life flows on. Even in sleep, it flows. Even in rest, it continues. Not because you're making it happen, but because flowing is its nature. Because Wu Wei is its way, because the Tao moves through it, as it, forever. Sleep now, water. Sleep like the river sleeps while still flowing. Sleep like the ocean sleeps while still being. Sleep like the Tao sleeps, which is to say, rest in eternal motion, peace in endless flowing, stillness in perpetual change. You are water. You are river. You are ocean. You are the Tao. And the Tao is resting now. In you. As you. Through you. Soft. Flowing. Home. The Watercourse Way has brought you here. To this deep place, this still place, this place where the river meets the sea and becomes everything, nothing, both, neither. Just the Tao, just being, just this eternal now. Rest here, flow here, be here. You don't have to try anymore. Don't have to push. Don't have to force. Don't have to control. You can just be. Be water. Be flow. Be the Tao. Flowing, always flowing, even in stillness, especially in stillness, flowing home. The river doesn't sleep, but the river rests. You are the river now, resting, flowing, being. Wu Wei, non-doing, everything done, nothing left undone. Soft, so soft, softer than water, softer than anything. Yielding, completely, utterly, beautifully. Home, you are home, you have always been home. The Watercourse Way, the only way, the way that is no way at all, just flowing, just being, just this. Tao. Water. Flow. Rest. The journey is complete. You've traveled far tonight. Through shadows, through light, through depths most never see. Your mind has done its work. You can rest now. This is the Stillpoint, your anchor in the sea of thought, a place you can always return to whenever the world becomes too loud. Thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting this space, for trusting yourself. Sleep well. Good night.